Howdy, YouTube. In Calgary again, Leafs came out in the first period like the team I imagine they could be. This was the best period of hockey they have played all year. And remember last time I was talking about how they made some new, heavier additions to the team and so slowed down the overall team speed. In this first period, you would never have guessed it. They were flying. Every player, even the slower guys, were just skating, flying. And the Leafs took the Flames by storm in that first period. The Flames didn't even have a shot on net for the longest time, and whereas the Leafs were just setting up constantly in their zone and moving the puck around and getting chances, and they would go up 2-0. The first goal was a beautiful goal. Jimmy Vesey was carrying the Leafs to the blue line. Just as soon as he crossed over the blue line, he flipped a nice little saucer pass on the right wing to Justin Hall, who then ripped a shot. Big rebound came out, and Wayne Simmons on the left side, who was it was kind of a 3-on-2 or whatever, a 3-on-1 I think it was, and big rebound came out to Simmons. He whacked at it. Markstrom came across, made a great save, but left another rebound, and then Simmons got the goal on the second chance. So 2 games in Calgary, Simmons now has 2 goals. So his first 2 goals of the season. So he has had a really good road trip so far. The next goal later on in the period, that one came just before the 4-minute mark. The other one came, I think, in the latter half of the period. Leafs on the power play were working it around. It came to Marner on the right side. He made a cross-seam pass over to Matthews on the left side, who then roofed it. So Matthews gets another goal. He's starting to really heat up, and Marner gets another point. He's leading the league in scoring now, actually, with how good he's been. So there we had a 2-0 lead after the first, and it looked like the Leafs were just going to steamroll this game. However, in the second period, it's like the Flames kind of woke up during the intermission, and the rest of the game, the last 2 periods, was a lot more like the first game we saw between these two teams. Very evenly matched, very back and forth, tit for tat sort of thing. So the rest of the game was a lot more competitive than that first period, and the Flames would crawl back into it. They scored just over a minute into the second. Gaudreau, who I can't stand, got the Flames back to within a goal. Just over a minute after that, the Leafs would score to go up 3-1, and I thought, okay, this might be it, but it wasn't. But the guy who got the Leafs' third goal was Travis Boyd, who I didn't really realize the Leafs had this guy. He came over from Washington, maybe, and he got his first goal of the season in his first game of the season for the Leafs. And a nice little play by Engvall to set this one up. He had the puck just inside the Calgary blue line, and kind of some guys were coming at him, so he just kind of spun, flipped a nice little pass forward to Boyd, who was streaking into the zone right down the middle, and then he took it right to the net and wristed one past Markstrom for the 3-1 lead. Later on in the period, in the back half, Lucic, of all people, who never scores goals anymore, cut the lead again back to 1 as he would put the Flames down 3-2 to the Leafs. So, and that's the way the third period would end, or the second period would end. In the third, Calgary got out and got on the board again, another Gaudreau goal, but just past the 12-minute mark, the Leafs struck the final blow. They were working it around the zone, and it was just a fast-moving play. The Leafs were moving the puck around. It came around the boards to Matthews, who then threw a puck into the middle, into the slot to Marner, who had set himself up, and he just ripped it right away. He kind of got open for a split second, and Matthews took that advantage to get the puck to him, and he ripped one past Markstrom on the one-timer, adding another point to his total. So, and that's where it would end. 4-3 final for the Leafs. Their power play went 1 for 2. Which is good. I mean, they had the third best power play going into this game. Who knows what it'll be now that it went 50% tonight. And then I believe their penalty kill went 3 for 4. So they did get scored on once on the power play, but overall, special teams have been really good, and like a lot of times this season so far, they've been able to lock down a lead late in the game, which has been a struggle for them in years past. They've given up that lead, and maybe had to go into overtime where they may win in the end, but they also may lose, right? So they've really buckled down defensively and playing as a team overall. And yeah, there was some lineup changes. I think they mentioned that Keefe, to kind of inject a bit of more enthusiasm into the lineup after that first game against Calgary and keep the energy up. He rested Spezza, I think. I forget who else was out, and put in that Boyd guy as well as a guy named Anderson who played for New Jersey last year, I believe, and they played on the Leafs' fourth line. And he shuffled around some other lines. He had Mikheyev up on the line with Tavares and Nylander, I believe it was. Or was Mikheyev up on the big line with Marner and Matthews? Either way, there was a lot of shuffling, but everybody looked good. Everybody looked fast. Everybody looked solid. But like I said, after that first period where they kind of romped, things kind of evened out and became more like that first game. And the teams are very evenly matched, so it definitely makes for an entertaining affair. And in the first game against Calgary, I don't know if I remember if I mentioned it, but I think I did, but Jack Campbell got hurt. And it looks like he's now going to be out for a number of weeks. So they now are down a backup goalie. Their third string goalie, Aaron Dell, was claimed on waivers by somebody. So now they're going with Michael Hutchison as their backup now, who, as we all know, struggled with the Leafs last year and didn't look great, but I've mentioned this before, but he was given a raw deal because he was thrown into some really bad situations last year during the whole start of the season when Babcock was still coaching the Leafs, and they hated him and they played like shit. And he'd always get the second game of a back to back, so the Leafs would already be playing shitty, and they were already playing shitty to begin with because of the coaching situation, right? So he wasn't really given a fair shake. So he's a lot better of a goalie than he showed in that situation last year. So people are like, oh my God, Hutchison, he's coming back. And I'm more like, well, let's give him a chance. Like, for God's sake, like, let's all remember the circumstances last year behind his poor performance, right? So so I'm not ready to go, with this situation. I'm looking forward to see if he can make some improvements and prove people wrong, right? So but either way, Campbell being out is a bad thing because he's a really good backup goalie and he's just a really good guy and a really good teammate from everything I've seen and everything I've heard. So that sucks, but it is what it is. That's what happens during an NHL season, right? Injuries and organizational depth, all of that stuff comes into play. So, and then at the end of the game, last game, I mean, Tkachuk was up to his usual antics, and there was a bit of just a little scrum at the end of last game, and there was another one at the end of this game. So I'm just hoping, beyond all hope, that he does something that sparks the ire of somebody nasty on the Leafs, and they take the opportunity to just beat the living shit out of him, just bloody him into oblivion, without taking a suspension, of course. But I just tire of this guy's fucking antics. He's such a prick. And I got to assume that unless you're a Calgary Flames fan, you probably hate this guy as much as I do. But yeah, I can't stand it. And then he's got his asshole brother in Ottawa too. It's like, oh my God, thank God there's only two of them and not like, remember the Sutter brothers? I like the Sutter brothers, but there was like 5 of them or whatever. So imagine if there was 5 Tkachuks. Oh God. But anyways, it is what it is. They'll play them 7-8 more times this year, so we'll see what happens. But until the next game, we got Edmonton next, 2 games in Edmonton, and we'll see if they can keep this semi rolling straight down the highway and not veer into either ditch. Let's do it.